Hi everyone, welcome to another Broken Meeple Accessorize video. This is just a quick little video because I wanted to highlight a few extra little goodies from ERaptor that they've sent me, which might be useful bling for some of your board games, although specifically today I'm focusing more on Eldritch Horror because I play at the moment a few games of this now and again with a group where somebody wanted to learn Eldritch Horror, so I thought I'd teach them, and now the four of us kind of sit down every now and again and play it. So I just wanted to go over first this card holder here and the one behind it, which is essentially, you could use this for any game, but it works particularly well with games like Eldritch Horror because, well, how many card decks do you know that are in it? So this comes in two different sizes. You've got the large one here, you've also got a smaller one here for the small card decks, but as I say, you can use this with any system that you like. But I'm just going to highlight a few things with Eldritch Horror. So for starters, you've got these cards, where you separate them into different decks and they control the locations. Normally you'd have all these stacked on the table, but now you can essentially place them in the cubby holes like that. And of course, if you've got other cards that you need to use, stick some in there, stick some in there, and of course this is just using the top tier, shall we say. I could easily put them on the bottom tier, they'll stick out, but you can at least see what card there is. And then all you got to do is just take the card, read it, and then plonk it underneath. Works very well for Eldritch Horror because, this is a simplistic example of showing how many things that you can put on here, but if you imagine that Eldritch Horror usually has a good 6 different location decks, I think, something like that, before in the base game. And then you throw in the expansions and suddenly you get even more. Now obviously you're not going to have, what we've got here, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18 slots. You're unlikely to fill that many at once, but you never know. There could be a card game out there that would give you a run for your money in that one. But it just allows you to sort of tailor it how you like. Now, this comes in 3 levels, but you don't have to assemble it in 3 levels. You could just do the bottom layer and the top layer, and there you go. And then you'll have 12 slots instead of 18. This is just being fixed so that there is 18 slots. You're more than welcome to just say, you know what, take the top bit off, and there you go. Then I've got 12 slots. Maybe that's a bit more manageable for you. But what this essentially does, it allows for people to basically, tier things upwards. The table space as a whole is kind of a premium half the time with board games. So now you've actually got a means to say, well, you know what? If we have things going upwards, then it won't be so bad. Now, of course, this also works with the smaller version. So with this one, there's a lot of smaller cards in there. So I could put spells. Let's put a few conditions in here. Let's see, we could put the original investigator cards there. Let's have some conditions. We'll stick them in that part. We'll have some weapons. This one has a ton of little card decks, and that's just for Eldritch Horror. Of course, you've got 18 slots as well, so you can use this for any card game you like. Again, you don't have to assemble every single layer. You could just assemble the bottom 2 and you're good. You always got to have the bottom layer as a foundation, and then the middle layer could go on top. And then this one affixes on top as well. So it's up to you whether you want, 6, 12 or 18 slots. But for Eldritch Horror, this is good because now all my cards can basically just be in one container. And again, all I got to do is just grab the deck off, have a look through what I need. Oop, there we go. Found my card and then straight back. Good. Now, it does cater for sleeves because as you can see, let me bring it out a little bit. There is ample room for sleeve. It just means it will stick out a little bit further beyond, but not enough for it to topple over or anything like that. But there is easily enough space for sleeves. And the same goes for the big cards as well. So this is relatively compact. It's not going to cause too much damage to the cards when, if you were to shake it around like an idiot. But it just means that if you do have sleeve cards, they'll go in here just fine. So, all in all, this is a cool little accessory to just have for any game, let alone Eldritch Horror, but I'd be interested to see if there's any game out there that could rival Eldritch Horror or any of the Arkham Horrors, shall we say, for number of different card decks that you'll need in order to use all 18 slots. Now we're taking a look at something a little bit different, it has to be said, and that is one of these organizers for the character sheets. Now this is specifically for use for Eldritch Horror, and you buy it in a pack of 4. The idea is that the character sheet gets slid down there, and so you can stash things like the improvement tokens in there. You can put clue tokens and train tickets in these train tickets in those slots. You can put clues in this slot. You can put your hearts in there, your sanity stuff in there, and then this little ridge along the top can essentially be used to keep track of various cards. So they slot in like that. Yeah, you may not necessarily be able to see the name of your character, but I think you should be able to work that out by that point. And so you can keep things like several items that you have on hand. And it seems to store them, well, not as well as I would like, but you're not really going to be jolting this thing too much. But as long as you just like keep it still, then it should stay in just fine. So we could put some hearts in here. Hopefully you can see this fine. Put some brains in there. Should be able to stick train tickets and sea tickets in there. Improvement tokens. So let's say I want to boost my strength. In goes one there. Let's say I boosted my law. One goes in there. Can I find any more? Not all the top of my head. But now let's stick a few clues in here. So clues should be able to stack in this. 1, 2, 3. Let's see if we can stack a few more in here, shall we? Okay, let's go 4. Whoop. Yeah, 4, 5, 6. So, well, it's not a bad little thing. You know, it does certainly keep things organized. You know, you've got your clues to hand, you've got your tickets to hand. You can easily see where your improvement tokens are. You can still read your character sheet. This covers the character sheet in full, and these will cater for a few cards. But if you have got quite a lot of cards in the game, then you're going to have to store them to the side, which is a bit of a negative. The main negative I do have with this, though, is these screws in here. You do them by hand, and there's 2 here as well, but the character sheet will not slide underneath if you've tightened them up. So, I mean, obviously you can like loosen them a little bit, but in order to slide this in, which you do via the top, there's basically a finger hold here where underneath this bit where you can sort of push the plastic up a bit. But in order to get this to move inside, you need to loosen these particular bolts a fair whack and then slide it in. I mean, don't you dare try and do it when it's relatively tight, because you will just scupper and scuff your card. Now, to ask everybody to do this before a game of Eldritch Horror just seems a little bit of a faff, in my opinion, but it's basically something that's going to take you, 30 seconds to a minute to sort of accomplish, and then you've got it for potentially a 2.5 to 3 hour game of Eldritch Horror. So it's certainly going to be used for a bit, but still, I don't like the idea that I've got to kind of loosen this up a bit, then slide it in, then tighten it down, and then I'm good. I mean, I would have liked it to have just had enough room for me to just slide it in, and then it could have had maybe a screw here, but also a screw there and a screw there, just to have this to rest up against them. To sort of have to go, right, I better loosen this a bit, slide it in, come on, slide it in, and then tighten it. Just seems like a little bit of a, kind of like an unnecessary thing that needs to be done. So really, with these, I would say it's just a case of, are you an Eldritch Horror enthusiast, really? I mean, I'll use one for myself. I'm just not certain that I would ask the rest of the players around the table to use them, but oh well, needless. And then of course you have got, more of these plexiglass tokens. So over there, plenty to see. So they're pretty striking. You can easily tell what number some of these clues are meant to go on. So space 17. Maybe you can't see it on the camera phone, but you can certainly see it up close. And as I say, they cater for several of the expansions. Just check on their website whether they work or not. And, they're nice. They feel good. It's an upgrade from cardboard. If you've got special things like Stonemaier tokens and that, then they're probably better. But then Stonemaier doesn't do the clue tokens or anything like that. And even with the upgrades I've got, I upgrade some of the components with Stonemaier stuff, but then I've got the cardboard clues. Well, now I've got plastic clues. And it's, they feel good. They make a good sound. They're going to be a bit more durable. So you essentially got a few little upgrades there. And that's basically it for the Eldritch Horror stuff. So as I said, the first 2 things, the card holders, they don't necessarily need to be done with Eldritch Horror, but I've used them with Eldritch Horror, so it just conveniently works that way. This insert, this kind of organizer for your thing, it works. But you do have to put up with the fact that you've got to sort of loosen it up, slide this in, screw it down, and I would have liked it if it was a bit more easier to do that. It's a little bit of a faff to do this at the start of each game, but if you're comfortable doing it, then at least it will be pretty sturdy. I mean, the tokens aren't going to slide out anytime soon. It's more a case of this bit up here being a little bit, it's not too bad, but you don't want to jostle it too much once the card is in there, because chances are the card won't survive long, and of course, there's only so many cards it's going to cater for. I mean, what's the maximum that I can get in here? 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's get another one in there. 5. So we're looking at 5 max little cards in there, which would cater for a few players, but not necessarily for everybody, especially if you've got spells, magic items, unique assets, the works. So, like I say, it's a way to pimp up your game, but I wouldn't see it as like an essential upgrade. The tokens I can take or leave as well, but I think they're a nice upgrade to cardboard. Again, how much do you want to pimp out your game? But I certainly do recommend the card holders from before. I still think that these are, a particularly... Oop, let's move this out of the way so that I can bring this back. I do think that this is a particularly good upgrade though, but it depends what games you've got. So what games do you know that would use up 12 to 18 card components outside of an Arkham Horror game? Is there Euro games that would use this many cards? Let people know in the comments and see what you think. So that's it for me on this short little video for ERaptor. Just showing off a few of their little accessories, particularly with Eldritch Horror. I'll see you on the next Broken Meeple video. And remember, as always, it's only a game. Take care.